Hey, I am in the process of figuring some things out, which is usually uh, how I when I feel like I need to talk. Usually, I don't have the structure of the of how what I'm going to talk to, but I'm just going to start a conversation. Something is happening, and I feel very strong about presencing it. The I have noticed in my whole life. I'm 77 now. And that we've been living in linear time. We've been living in calendar time. And what people don't realize about calendar time in linear time is it's part of a cyclical relationship of time that has things, holds things in place. It's easy to understand if we know we're going to exercise class every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. It's a little bit hard to understand that when this particular type of time was created, it was also to hold realities in place. And the particular reality that we were born into, was to keep trauma in place. So I cannot take care of you and have you try to understand me, but I do want to be in the EM. I do want to be where something is happening beyond what our present perception of reality can grasp. In other words, it's like the Indians that had never seen a boat, a ship, so they couldn't see the ships that came to their shore, but the shaman could, because he could see what the air that was displaced and the water that was displaced. So you could say I have a shamanic bent where I can see that something is occurring. So I'm just going to tell you a story. And I was going to start this in a more regulated way, like every Thursday at 10. But I have a new podcast. I never did podcast before, but what I love that. Sorry for the clearing my throat, but my beloved, my man, has congestion and a sore throat and a cough, and I don't have it physically, but I just talked to him, so I think I'm clearing it energetically. So we will include that too. It's part of my timeline. Part of my timeline is to blend with him and be in part of the weave of him, and into that, work on his wholeness, not as a doing, but as part of the nature of unified being. So I'm talking about the power of unified being now. And remember, we've been very individuated. We think the answer is in the person or the thing or like we have religions that are killing each other because we've divided God into this God or this practice or that practice, or this person or that person is the key to our salvation, when that isn't how time even works. We don't divide time. If we divided time between a plant and rain, when it rained, the plant wouldn't get the rain. We'd have it all divided up, and nothing could receive the benefit of being part of something else, being in relationship with something else, and being on behalf of something else. So we're moving out into timeless time again. I don't know how many of you are actually experiencing your to-do list and you're keeping things in linear time is getting harder and harder, but I can promise you it's going to get even harder. And it's part of the evolutionary pressure we're under to evolve out of linear time, to evolve out of cyclical time, to evolve out of karma, to evolve out of history repeating itself. And how you do that is you become part of weaves that operate on behalf of life and have life exist as whole, that operate in much more multi-dimensional, multi-fabric, multi-woven ways, like our Earth does. Our Earth is a multi-dimensional, multi-fabric, multi-woven living field, and we're designed to be that too. So just grasp what you can. If you enjoy the conversation, enjoy. Let it saturate your cells. I am a cellular empath. And just notice it probably won't apply to anything you presently think, or if it does apply to something you presently think, you probably will find that you are, you can only think it to a certain level, to a second point, to a certain capacity. It's why we have people doing the creation templates and working with the books. Not an advertisement. It's just part of what other people are doing too. So this morning, I came off a call with my beloved, and I noticed in mountain time, linear time, that people were trying to get on David Manning's call at 11 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Pacific. And it was a free call. And David is part of the weave, part of the phenomenon of, in the field of Tantra Maat, everything's part of everything else. Everything operates on behalf of everything else, and everything's in relationship with everything else. So in regard to David Manning, he's part of the weave and part of the what we're part of, not as a person, but from his source space, what he's sourcing existence from. It's like the tree finding the water for itself here in the east, and then later finding water for itself here in the west, and then gathering that water so the wind can pull it to the tree from the east and pull it from the tree to the west. So that's kind of one way to look at it. So that'll be at 11 Mountain Time, our time, my linear time. But then we have a praxis call, there's a praxis call for source vibrations at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So what I suggested into the WhatsApp field, and I'm going to post this in our Tapa Talk thread, what I suggested is let's practice. Let's begin to give our neurons a place to awaken and to restore the fabric of our multidimensional, multi-fabric, multi-woven natures, so that we're not feeling like we're isolated and alone, literally snipped out of the multidimensional, multi-fabric, multi-weave of ourselves, caught in an individuated, isolated identity plane that isn't going to do well as we go forward. It just isn't going to do well, because it's that isolation is counter to what the design here of a design of existence is here on this beautiful primordial planet. And it's also not how the cosmos is designed. So my interest, my intention, my obsession is just to be out past the edge, talking about what is going on out past the edge of present human capacity to be conscious, until it can have a place, until it, not to predict a thing for you to understand, but to literally reach out to the wind and ask the wind to bring the water from the west to the tree and the water from the east to the tree. That's the magic of human being. That's the magic that human beings lost. So what I wrote on our WhatsApp thread is I said, okay, everybody going into David's call and everybody going into the praxis call, which is Asa at source vibrations, Asa and Elizabeth at source vibrations. So the phenomena, so it's to really generate the capacity for phenomenon. The capacity for phenomenon is the key to our evolutionary process, to generate our capacity for us to get present to things in such a way that our neuron network begins to restore itself, so we can truly be present cognitively to what there is to be present to. I know it's hard to get, especially in English. We have 40,000 less words in our vocabulary than any other popularly spoken language. That means that when we say love, people kill each other over what they think love is. So it's just a really, and then this other woman, Inga, she just wrote on WhatsApp. Hold on, I'm getting it up. She just wrote on WhatsApp that she's going to be in she'll be in a gathering called Open Hearts. bringing people together around a fire that are publicly active and physically creating ancient new ways of living and co-creating with each other and all beings. And now I'm writing her on WhatsApp where, and all beings in service of love and oneness. So weaving that into our chemical cauldron of 1111. So you all that are listening to this recording of me, you might be on with me. I don't know if you are, but it's at 8:19 a.m. Mountain Time. You're being folded into this. So I just wrote Inga and asked her where. Yvonne and Susan were telling us about David in his call, and I was telling them about the Praxis call. But in our consciousness, we're now in this alchemical cauldron, which Inga so beautifully explained. And I'm hoping that Inga tells us where physically that meeting is around a fire, because David's call is virtual, therefore he's connecting into the EM. The Praxis call is virtual, and it is connected into the EM. And so there's a phenomenon going on now, and as much as I can, because I now have, what's the word I want? I now have, what do you call it? Those things, podcast. So once the recording of this is done, then we can put it on podcast, and it just keeps feeding the field. The phenomenon is to feed the field within which new systems of reality can rise. So going back to this conversation I want to have, prepping all of us, because whether your personality is still like, I need to understand to be present to what there is to be present to, you're going to be in trouble, because we aren't going to understand what we're present to for about 3 years, or about at least a year. But we're going to start a phenomenon. We're going to have phenomenon that suggests there's more going on than what we've cognitively, that means what we can think, what we can understand, what we can articulate, but just a real sense of something really going on. So somewhere in Europe, I'm pretty sure this thing with Inga is, somewhere in Europe, there's people gathering around a fire. It's 8:22 a.m. So the Praxis community call has not happened. David Manning's call has not happened. But Tantra Maat at 8:22 a.m. is on a Facebook call in time, because everybody treats time like it's the least important thing we've got, and yet it's the thing we have to adhere to. But everything that's held in place, can only be held. Hold on, I'm writing this in. Oh, we're doing it. So isn't this fun? So I don't have any time to open up a link and to do the research for myself, but that's why you have a global community. That's why I'm part of a cultural wisdom community. It's about being in alliance with everyone and everything that operates on behalf of life and has life exist as whole. So whenever you get this, this is a demo. It doesn't mean you have to get it right now and you have to be part of this. This is not an invitation. It's literally over the next few months. Every time I have a chance, because I now have my beautiful Melissa, my beautiful Christina, making sure that this Out Past the Ed podcast, you can always go there and listen to it, and just feed yourself out past linear time. You need to feed yourself out past time that has trapped us in doing, that doesn't have us operate on behalf of life. It uses us up. It doesn't allow us to be, and we need to be. And because being is the source of existence, being is the source of creation, being here, being in every present moment of time. I'm just telling you, I don't know where I'm filming. I don't know how I'm filming. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. I'm going to go try to find it for people. You get over to, maybe it went off. I don't know. Oh no, I don't know where it went. It's on Facebook. Hold on. Let me see if it says live on Facebook. Okay. I'm picking that up. I'm seeing where it's live on Facebook, and it's live on Facebook. Here it is. So I'm now going to send this to people. And I'm pretty sure that we'll see, we'll play, we'll play, because there's a phenomenon of existence we're in where we actually have capacity. We actually have capacity to be present with each other in real time. Real time. Now I have the address. Now I have the address. So this is where we'll be around a fire, because we are beings. We are actually beings. We are beings operating on behalf of life. And what has life exists as whole. And we are multidimensional. We are multi-fabric. We are real. We are actually real. We are real beyond measure. And the fact that we're real beyond measure wants a place. It wants a place. It just wants a place. So I'm going to go back and we're going to practice. Okay, everybody that's listening. And we're practicing in linear time right now, but in truth, we're you're listening to this, whether it's on a podcast or live, you're listening to this is as cellularly and neuroplastically, your neurons are being fed by this crazy kind of oddity that Tantra Maat is saying to her community. Okay, we've got using mountain time because that's the time I'm in. Because that's the time I'm in, I can generate from how linear time got located here. And I'm determined that people begin to understand timeless time and the time of being, because the time of being is dramatically disrupting the social structures of our existence and disrupting our to-do list. And we need to comprehend that the time we've been held in has captured us and used our lives in ways it is counterproductive to what we are designed to be. So I have source vibration praxis call, which is at 10 to 11 Mountain Time. We have David Manning's call from 11 to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. We have Inga in Belgium in a fire ceremony in Belgium, in the province of the domain of Kessel, Kessel, another word, low. It's really, really amazing to me that all this seemed to occur this morning naturally in the field of Tantra Maat, naturally in our WhatsApp thread. Now, what do you think that could mean? What do you think, beyond the limitation of your present thinking? What do you think that could mean? I have too many. I realize my screen is glitching, so I'm going to go off WhatsApp and go off so I have plenty of bandwidth for this conversation. So what do you think that means in time? That because people say, oh my God, should I do this or should I do that or should I do this? But you're a multi-dimensional, multi-fabric, multi-territory being. You should be multi-interest. You should be feeding off of and feeding everything that gives you life and has you exist as whole. David Manning gives life and has life exist as whole. Asa in his beautiful, I think Elizabeth, I may have the wrong name, in source vibration operates on behalf of life and has life exist as whole. Tantra Maat in the field of Tantra Maat, the cultural global community, has life exist as whole. Other things that we're involved in, all are paying attention to what connects us to life and has us exist as whole. That is timeless time, because you're connecting back into creation. and creation is operationally moving on behalf of life, and what has life exist as whole. So when you move back into timeless time, when you allow time and what gives you life to be the governing principles of your existence, even down to a doctor's appointment. If you have a doctor's appointment and you go and that doctor does not occur as what gives you life and what has you exist as whole, in this rising evolutionary restoration of the fabric of human beings' direct relationship with creation, you will find yourself wanting to put something in time that gives you life and has you exist as whole. So you will find a doctor that gives you life and has you exist as whole because you want that in time. You want that in your timeline, in your time territory. So that was just very exciting this morning when I came off my call with my beloved, when I realized I need to sit down and do some observings on this money matrix work I'm doing. And I have time because the first call on Praxis in my timeline is time at 10 a.m. And then David's, I just registered for at 11 a.m. And then somewhere out there in Belgium, we had people gathering on the fire. So here's the key. Now we can feed, because the field of Tantra Maat is everything's part of everything else. Everything operates on behalf of everything else, and everything is in unity with everything else, and which means in relationship. Unity means relationship. To be in unity with something, you have to be in relationship with it. 101. 101. Lesson 101. So now in the field of Tantra Maat, because we're a practice of systemic practice of being part of multidimensional, multi-fabric, multi-woven universes that operate on behalf of life and have life exist as whole. That's what this planet is. That's what the cosmos is. Feel it? Can you feel it as I speak it? Not understand it, but feel it. Something just shifted in the atmosphere of time, which is my purpose here. But now we have everybody who's going to be on the David Manning call, everybody's going to be on the Praxis call that was in this conversation. We're going to be all present as beings because our attention has gathered our consciousness at that fire in Belgium, so that which they're gathering on behalf of can create in strength, stamina, capacity. Everything David's doing can increase in strength, stamina, capacity. Everything that Asa and Elizabeth and source vibrations are doing can increase in strength, stamina, capacity. And that's what we once lived like. That's how we once existed. That's how we once operated on behalf of our own existence and others. Like literally gathering the wind so the rain can come from the east, can come from the west to feed the tree of life. Okay, out past the edge, beyond all right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I will meet you there.